there's all this talk in the news about China having my data from TikTok, and then maybe America has my data. Everybody wants my data. What are you going to do with it? Look at it, giggle a little, maybe get a little crush on me? Have it. I want you to. I don't give a shit about it. Everybody should have my data. I'm great.
Hey, fun fans, it's We Enjoy coming at you with our final Dead by Dawn-a-thon episode, our final regular Dead by Dawn-a-thon episode, because there will be a special one for Evil Dead Rise this week with Ash vs. Evil Dead in the main event. We have the Mattitude Eric. I am Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
Hello, everybody watching Evil Dead.
Eric, are you gearing up for a weekend of wrestling? Maybe, perhaps, hopefully?
I mean, I'm definitely gearing up for a weekend of wrestling.
Eric and I, inside baseball here, Eric and I just sort of like lament the loss at the company of our longstanding WWE PR guys, media handler guys, who worked for the company actually both for very long periods of time and were recently let go, one a few years ago and one just recently. And they were our key contacts with WWE, from everything from like big pay-per-views that we would cover as press to, hey, obviously just like comp tickets when Raw's in town or something like that. But now it's just a black hole.
Well, no, like, I mean, I have sympathy for the people who have taken on their roles because they have a shitload of shit to do. It's just when you had a relationship with someone and now it's like, and this person doesn't know you because how would they? It's just like,
I don't know you, man.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm doing I'll be going to SmackDown Friday night and WrestleMania on Saturday and Sunday. I think that's it. I'm not going to do Raw Monday. I in the old days, I do it all. I'd be like, I'll do it.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is the old days, it's like you and I would maybe go to a place and it's like, why not? Why not do it all? But this is your home. You're like, my bed is right there. Why would I keep doing these things?
And it being my home, it's also like, interestingly, it's more daunting when you know the hassle of getting around, right?
Right.
Because almost everything's downtown except for Mania itself, which is in Inglewood at place.
Eric, I thought it was in Hollywood. I've seen the posters for WrestleMania. It's clearly WrestleMania goes Hollywood.
But yeah, so just even thinking that I'm going to go downtown for several days in a row, like, like I have to deal with that.
Honestly, I mean, that probably keeps you away from that Alamo Draft House more than you'd like it to.
100%, to the point that I canceled my monthly subscription because I just wasn't using enough, and I totally would if they were there. I meant to mention this to you as before show business, but I'll mention it to you while we're recording. I almost said live, but obviously we're not putting this up live. But I think we can commit to, we'll have a We Enjoy Wrestling post Mania. I don't know if we'll actually do it Sunday night. It may be.
No, we will not do it Sunday night because I will be at a Depeche Mode concert.
Oh, that's right. That's right, because you don't care about wrestling.
Yeah, the actual reason I'm not going to Los Angeles for WrestleMania this year, my first WrestleMania that I will have missed in 14 years, Eric. First one.
I know. Okay, that makes it more difficult.
Because,
that Depeche Mode is actually Sunday night, because I didn't even know if it was Saturday night or Sunday night, because my follow-up was like, oh, we'll record it first thing Monday, but I don't know if you'll have seen Mania by then.
Nope.
And then I'm out Monday night. I got a double feature at the New Bev. I'm seeing you're next. So we'll have to figure this out, but I do think we should do one. It's just, of course, it just feels like, because once we do it after the Raw, after Mania, it's going to be already like catching up, but we'll figure it out, folks. We'll have one for you. We'll have a post-Mania podcast.
But like maybe it's like only 30 minutes and like, I don't know. Because that's the thing. I don't know when I'll see if Saturday night in San Antonio, I will be watching the Saturday night, Saturday night's Mania. I know I won't be watching.
Who are you, Matt? Who are you?
Well, it's a road trip down to Alamo Town. So anyway, that will delay my viewing. I will try to watch all 9 hours of wrestling as soon as I humanly can.
All right.
For podcast purposes.
All right.
But in the meantime, I'm doing a pod with my best friend. So let's do this podcast. Let's get into some entertainment news here. Marvel related. It's all Marvel this week. Let's do both good news in very different ways.
Yes. Both are things we've been waiting for a long time, honestly.
One feeds into sort of the I don't know, there's sort of like forward-facing controversy at Marvel Studios these days, even though this isn't Marvel Studios related per se. Much more so than we're used to from Marvel Studios. It's not because we talked about the VFX executive who was fired last week.
Yeah.
But this week, there's a good firing happening, which is
I mean, we should say there's a shitload of layoffs happening.
Well, Disney, regardless, is laying off 7,000 people.
Yes.
Per Bob Iger saying that they're like reconfiguring the company. You know, all the corporate rhetoric they usually use when layoffs are coming.
And it's already affected people I tangentially know and like, which was kind of inevitable. And
this man is not one of those people.
And this is, but you have to take in the midst of a really depressing thing, and every company having its goddamn layoffs, and how sad that is. You try to take your victories when you can.
And so amidst this strategic realignment of the company, Ike Perlmutter, the absolute shit stain CEO of Marvel Entertainment, is gone. Finally, after all these years.
Yes,
we can breathe a little freer these days. And for those who don't know, Perlmutter is a polarizing figure in politically as far as the way his alt-right leanings and his pushback against actual diversity in the MCU, making movies even like movies like Black Panther and Captain Marvel like taking a lot longer to come to screen because of the friction that he had with Kevin Feige over these issues. And
with him saying, I don't want to make superhero movies about Black people and women. No one will pay to see them. I wouldn't pay to see them.
Yep.
So why would we make those
what
movies?
We're saying is that he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
This I mean there's look him up if you don't know who we're talking about. He owned Marvel from the late 90s until they sold it to Disney. But he stayed on, as part of the deal that it was like he would stay on running Marvel. But then in a kind of very notable, Hollywood rift moment, Feige, who hated working under, because he was also, besides being a reprehensible person with terrible beliefs, and his beliefs affecting his business decisions in stupid ways, he also was notoriously cheap and stingy, and there are funny stories because they're so outrageous about how cheap he was, and digging through trash cans for paper clips, and making sure there was the most minimal things possible at the first Iron Man junket and whatnot, because he was running Marvel Studios, and even after Disney bought Marvel, he was running Marvel Studios. Kevin Feige was the guy making all the creative decisions, but he had to answer to Ike. And eventually a huge rift happened because Feige was like, I can't work for this guy anymore. And he had enough power at that point to split off, to get Disney to split Marvel Studios away from Marvel so he wouldn't have to answer to him anymore.
This was what, 2015?
15 or 16, yeah. But Ike was still there and still running Marvel, still running all the comic books and the TV shows. And then a few years ago, he lost a lot more power when a lot more went over to Feige. And the TV shows and the comic book creative all went under Feige. So basically all the creative stuff. But he was still there, and he was still running merch and different aspects of it. It felt like he would always be there. So I was kind of amazed to see this news come out today.
Well,
but I was not.
Eric, this turd clown is now gone. He is free from our... just you don't have to let him occupy space in your mind anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we'll hear about him once in a while, I'm sure, as he advises Trump. But he's gone. And I'll just say, look, I worked for Marvel for a couple years, and I worked for Marvel, not Marvel Studios, and this was before, Marvel Studios took the TV and stuff under their wing, and so Ike was our boss. Never met the guy, never encountered him, thank God. But not only did I hear about him, I mean, I'm not going to get too deep into this, but just to say his cheapness affected my job. Like it trickled down to that because he was such a not a micromanager because he wasn't managing, but just the fact that he would like make every little thing difficult on like a budget thing, even for things that were like you think would be normal and just practical. Of course, we're doing that. And I have a lot of stories I won't share because they're not my stories, again, because I never personally encountered him, but people I worked with had a lot of great, I say great in air quotes because they were awful, have a lot of Ike stories. I won't share them because it's their stories to share. But I just would say that I worked with a lot of great people at Marvel, and I am happy for the people that are still there, that they don't have to work under him at all anymore. The ones that still did. This was the Ewoks Yub Nub celebration as far as hearing someone was
the
out.
original Yub Nub, can't beat it.
Yes. It's like, look, it is what it is. Like Matt and I worked together at IGN at a time when IGN was owned by News Corp and Rupert Murdoch was our top corporate boss. It's like,
but the difference is Rupert Murdoch would come in and actually advise us how to cover Battlestar Galactica. Remember, he was a huge fan.
Yeah, and he was like, "Chuck, I'm really excited."
Like, I really want you to cover this show, Chuck.
Also, I'm reprehensible, but I do love Chuck. But he,
it's like you should do weeklies of Burn Notice.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I think the difference was that Rupert Murdoch didn't give a shit about, like, he didn't know we existed, whereas I did know people existed in Marvel because he was looking at every single thing on like a budget sheet. Either way, sometimes you have to work for shitty people because you want to work. And I'm glad when people I know and like don't have to work for shitty people. So.
But again, we're talking about like top of the pyramid shittiness, where like you don't meet them because they're basically King Tut.
Yeah, so, I did. He was less and less even in the New York office. He was like living in Florida most of the time. But one time, I was working out of the New York office at Marvel for New York Comic Con with a couple of my coworkers from LA in like the days leading up to New York Comic Con. And one of my coworkers went to the bathroom and she came back and she's like, "I just saw Ike by the elevator." Like she had a close encounter. She did not speak to him.
That's like actually encountering one of the ghosts on a ghost tour that they tell you live in the house.
Right. It changes.
Like, oh my God, I saw the little girl they said lives in the corridor.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Ike's gone, and then in actual different good news from Marvel, this being actual Marvel Studios, it was announced that Liv Tyler is reprising her role as Betty Ross. Betty, who not only is my favorite Helmet album, it is also the character who hasn't been seen in the MCU since 2008, when The Incredible Hulk came out, and she portrayed Betty Ross, Thunderbolt Ross's daughter. Obviously, Thunderbolt Ross, we've already covered, is being recast by Harrison. He's going to be played by Harrison Ford in both Captain America: New World and
because of William Hurt's passing away,
which we also covered separately. That was a separate thing, and then the Harrison Ford casting. But yeah, so she's coming back, which is icing on a cake that already involves the leader actually coming back for Captain America: New World Order as well. So we'll see Samuel Stern return, and Tim Blake Nelson was already announced for that role and reprising his role from this. This is a movie that was 15 years ago at this
point. Two
point.
actors who were in this movie in 2008 and then never came back to the MCU will be back in this movie. It is, Betty was one of those things that she was conspicuous not only by her absence, but they never even mentioned her, right? Like Bruce never was like, when Betty and I were together, or whatever happened to Betty. And especially because her dad did come, like, Thunderbolt Ross was the first character,
but also
they brought back.
But like with Ruffalo, for a handful of movies there, it was him and Nat, right? Yeah. Like it was Bruce and Nat, and that was the thing. And like, you wouldn't even think Betty existed, really.
But that's what I'm saying is like, they could have mentioned her, but they didn't. Then it was funny because What If did that episode. It was one of their first episodes that was that took place partially during the events of the Incredible Hulk,
right? Because there was the when he gets killed at the college.
Yes,
yeah, and was not obviously we're talking about the What If episode, not the actual Incredible Hulk movie.
But it was fascinating for a couple of reasons. One was Mark Ruffalo getting to play the Bruce Banner
in that scenario,
in the Ed Norton era. and B, acknowledging Betty existed, because it wasn't Liv Tyler, but Betty was in that episode. And so it was the first time that Betty was, modern MCU was using her at all. So it was like, okay, they remember she exists. And then as they started to bring back, the Abomination, and then they announced that the leader was coming, she was kind of this big, like, will she come back? Like, glaring thing. So it's definitely fun. Right now, we don't know that Mark Ruffalo is in this movie, but now that she's back, if they don't have her and Ruffalo in some project together, it would be ridiculous. So
it would be a little ridiculous. Also, at what is the tipping point? What point do we go to the streets to demand Sam Rockwell back as Justin Hammer? Do we know if he's in Armor Wars? Did they say
we don't know anything about that. I thought we were taking to the streets as you were doing the build-up for Ty Burrell, because he's the last any significance actor from Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, for Ty Burrell. Yeah.
Because he was he was Leonard Samson, set up to be Doc Samson. So everyone else who had like a significant role in that movie and a significant like setting up for the future role is now back. So justice for Doc Samson is what I'm saying.
I mean, as long as we're in the streets, we can also, pick it for Ty Burrell. But yeah, like
I mean, it's funny because I interviewed him for Muppets Most Wanted, which I think was like 2014, and I asked him at that point about, do you think you'll ever come back? And he's like, I think it's been too long. But of course, that's years before all these other co-stars of his have come back.
Well, okay, there's a sweet spot. So we can argue there's a sweet spot, right?
Right.
Like, maybe that was too long at that point. You either have to be like strike right as the iron's hot, or wait long enough that it's like a legacy return.
Right.
That's the deal. You can't, like, because 4 years later for a Shazam sequel, that wasn't the magic number, was it?
No, it was not.
So you either do 2 years later, or you do over 10 years later.
You gotta figure it out. No, I mean, like I mentioned this in passing a minute ago, but it's like, yeah, when the Civil War cast was announced and William Hurt was in it, that was a huge shock at the time, because it felt like no actor was ever going to come back from Incredible Hulk. And then he did, and he did several movies until his death. So yeah, never count him out. Justin Hammer will return, is what we're saying at some point.
I wish it said that at the end of Iron Man 2. I wish it said Justin Hammer will return.
I mean, we did see him one more time after that, but it's been a while. So,
all right. Yeah, that's our good time, fun time Marvel news. And then let's get into. Oh, you know what? I didn't even prep properly for this episode, even though we do have a few write-ins. I didn't pull them up. So
while you're doing that, I do want to say I'm going rogue a little bit here. Just say we're not going to talk about the Jonathan Majors thing, just because we feel like it's not good time news, but also it's like we kind of want to wait and see on this. Like, where is this going? If the accusations are true, it's awful, and we feel
if he loses the role of Kang, we'll talk about it.
Yeah,
if it creates actual ripples throughout the Marvel Studios
entertainment ripples. In the meantime, it's like it's a terrible situation. And we'll see what happens next with that.
Okay. So Joe wrote into our Patreon, and you could be a Patreon patron, a Hudson Hawk member, perhaps, and get commercial-free episodes of this podcast, along with the bonus episodes, also commercial-free, where we talk about movies that are out in theaters, the next of which I believe on our docket is Evil Dead Rise. Yes? Is there something else before that?
I think that's probably the next one.
Okay,
probably,
if anything changes, we'll let you know.
Probably, because I don't even know. Like, I have to look at like when's that versus like when the Mandalorian season ends. We'll probably do one for the.
Yeah. That might be what ends first, because I think that how many episodes are there?
There's only 3 left.
Just aired.
Yeah, there's only 3 left. So
okay, so it might just line up around the same time, anyhow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think just one write-in from Joe on Patreon, and it's about Eric playing video games. So let's see if this is even germane. Let's see how much this detours us. Joe writes in, I just had a quick game tip for Eric for when he plays Last of Us Part 2 eventually.
Okay. All right.
I was fortunate enough to find a PS5 a while back, and after watching the first few episodes of the show, I bought The Last of Us Remaster, which added some of the accessibility options from Part 2. I was thinking about when Eric said he was looking for a door and couldn't find it. Eric, I think that's when you were going around the snow in the cannibal camp. Yeah.
Part 1? Maybe there's a couple that it all blurs together, because there was multiple times I got frustrated by like, not being able to find. I did have the Cannibal Camp snow incident much earlier when I stopped for a long time. I was just stuck in like a back alley. Like it's like, you walk outside and now you're supposed to like find a way out of like, it's all like fenced in.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, I just couldn't find my goddamn way out of this alley, and I just gave up for a few months.
That's kind of like the way you were when you lived in New York and couldn't find your way out of alleys.
That's right. I just gave up.
You just gave up and sat down.
Sat down on the ground. It was like,
all
fuck
right.
this. Yeah.
So, so Joe says that with the accessibility options for part 2, there's a place you can swipe on the touchpad and it will color contrast all the interactable items, doors, and enemies in the game. And you can do that when you're like stuck in an alley and need to find out the thing you need to touch or call upon or pick or break or whatever. Anyway, that is Joe's handy tip for
that is a good pro tip. And I am gonna play The Last of Us 2 this year. I will make that vow. It will not be. I'm not gonna give it the gap between games to make up for how long I took to play the first one.
And I have learned not to make vows anymore because I didn't even come through in my first.
You failed your vows. But...
oh, in more ways than one because I'm divorced. All right. Okay, so
Aww.
It's all right. It was good. It was a good divorce.
It was a good divorce.
It was a great. Honestly, it was a great divorce.
That's a good title. Good. The Great Divorce.
Good. Okay, so all right. Let's get right into our good things to enjoy. Eric, I'm going to go first here. Yours is more connected to our actual main event today, so I'll save yours for after. And it's one that I also heartily agree with. Mine was I was sort of scouring for something, and this is a movie I watched recently, so I'll recommend it. But I'm going to preface all this by saying the show that I actually binged this week, I won't recommend. Why I binged it? Why did I binge it? I don't know. It's very brainless. It's easy. It's breezy. It's CoverGirl. It's a show called The Night Agent on Netflix. So I'm not this is not my good thing to enjoy.
Which just got renewed for season 2.
It did. It got picked up because it is for dads by dads. It is the epitome of. It actually is like an airport paperback that your dad would buy and read on an airplane. It's a political thriller. And it even has the dad novel font on it, The Night Agent, like the font, the James Patterson font. And it's just it's something that you'd think Kiefer Sutherland would star in. It's just an agent who uncovers a plot to kill either this person or the president or something, and then he's framed and he's on the run with someone who's also a target. And all I wanted from them was sex. I wanted them to have sex. I was in it. I was like, I'm going to watch this until these two have sex. And I don't necessarily even know why I wanted them to fuck, because the two leads don't have chemistry. They're not great. I'm saying this show is very mid-card.
I mean, it's funny. I mean, I haven't seen it, and I have no thoughts on it. I will say it's from Sean Ryan, who's made a ton of things.
No, and that's one of the things that sort of got me in. I was like, oh, well, if Sean Ryan did it, I'll check it out.
But you know what? When you make things for Netflix, you don't tend to bring your A game.
This is a solid B- game. And if you want something that moves and I think I've said on this podcast, and perhaps that the genre that has been ruined for me the most after the last presidential administration is the conspiracy political thriller. Things like The Pelican Brief or John Grisham novels or something like, if this leaks to the press, this entire administration is ruined.
Oh, right.
That is gone. I don't believe anything. I don't think anything will come out in a movie that can ruin a politician. All that is gone. Anyway, so this harkens back to that simpler time from maybe 6 years ago when you can still get into a conspiracy thriller like this.
Oh, it's funny you mention that, because when I went to see the Blade trilogy at the New Bev, and they showed only Wesley Snipes trailers all night.
Yeah. And the 1600?
Yeah, Murder 1600. There was other ones. He did other conspiracy theory ones, but it's just funny to watch trailers when it's like, this is an audio recording of like sex in the White House, like all these trailers that are just like, oh my god, this will take down the White House. And yeah, like you said, it's like nothing will take down
a White House. It just doesn't work. It stars Gabriel Basso, who you've seen in things, perhaps. It stars Lucienne Buchanan, who you may have seen in things. All these people have been in things. The most
Hong
notable
Chow is in
name.
it. I love Hong Chow.
Okay, so that's the thing. The most notable name in this right now is Hong Chow, because Hong Chow is very much of the moment with The Watchmen and The Menu and even the episode of Poker Face and all that. So Hong Chow is actually
The Whale, all of
a
those.
lot. Yeah. So she's a very prominent character. And when you watch this TV show, she turns out to be the exact character you think her character is going to turn out to be. This is a very predictable show. I'll also say that I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Sarah Desjardins or something like that. She plays the prickly, angry-ish daughter of the vice president on this show, while also playing the prickly, angry-ish daughter of Melanie Linsky on Yellow Jackets at the same time. So she's on a show right now that's happening. You can watch her be mad that her parents are murderers on two different shows. And
you found your thing. You do it.
And DB Woodside is in this, who was on Buffy. Ding. Okay.
Buffy and 24.
Okay. As much as I've talked about the show, I'm not.
I was gonna say that you're just talking about the show.
No, but I'm saying that this is the reason why I had to scramble to find a thing that I did like recently, because I didn't waste my time. Look, I chose to go all in on this. It's also a weird show, Eric, because it feels like a made-for-TV show, like network TV, but they say fuck every once in a while, and it's very jarring because it's for Netflix, so they could use foul language, but it doesn't feel like a foul language show. And because the sex scene that these two eventually have isn't a sex scene. They kiss and they fall on a bed, and then it cuts away, and it feels like network TV. So it is weird. Okay. My recommendation is Terminator Dark Fate, which I finally caught after hearing pretty good things about it a few years ago when it came out in 2019. And this movie is good. I thought the effects were good. I thought the action was good, and it moves like a Terminator movie, and it feels like a Terminator movie, and it follows the Terminator movie formula, which is Terminator sent back, someone's on the run, other person protects them, they run. There's a big pause in the middle of the movie, and then at the end, there's a big action climax where they run again. 4 movies so far have gotten this right, and the 2 movies that didn't are the one Terminator movies that sucked.
Yes.
So as long as you can follow the Terminator formula, it works. I think, I don't know if you and I have talked about Rise of the Machines on the show, but you have recommended Sarah Connor Chronicles as your good thing to enjoy. So in the multiverse that exists after T2, so there's Terminator, there's T2, and then you could go 3 different actual satisfying ways. One, Sarah dies and John remains, and you've got Rise of the Machines. Another plays into some things from Rise of the Machines, but you follow John and Sarah, and it's the TV show. 3, John dies and it's Sarah, and it's decades later too, because this is a legacy sequel, and it's a whole new thing happening. I think they all work as sort of like choose your own adventure. You know what I mean? I think that, but James Cameron made this very specifically as a sequel to T2. He didn't direct it. James Cameron will never direct anything that is not Avatar these days for the rest of his life. And because he is all consumed, it's all Avatar all the time. There were a couple movies in the last decade that he farmed out, like executive produced, and was a big part of the shaping of the story. And one was Alita Battle Angel, which was the movie he almost made before he made Avatar. So he came down between Alita and Avatar, and he chose Avatar back in the aughts. And that went to Robert Rodriguez. And then the other one was an actual Terminator follow-up, Terminator Dark Fate.
Which was the first time he'd been involved in the series since the second film.
Since T2. And then Tim Miller, who directed Deadpool, directed this movie. It was the movie he directed after Deadpool. And it stars, it's got Linda Hamilton reprising her role. It's got Arnold Schwarzenegger as a Terminator, not the one from T2, because he gave a thumbs up and went into the molten lava. And it's got Mackenzie Davis, who is the non-Terminator but a super soldier sent back from the future this time. She's human to protect a character played by Natalia Reyes, who is a Colombian actress who does mostly Colombian things, except for this. As far as I know, this was, I think, her only kind of, maybe, I don't know. But she hasn't done much actual American productions. But she's sort of the Sarah Connor here on the run. And I think it works. And also Gabriel Luna, who you just see on The Last of Us as Tommy, is the sort of evil Terminator that's sent back. And he's a spin-off of the T-1000 with the liquid metal, but he's got a few other tricks up his sleeve. And I think it worked, and I had a good time. I wish I caught it in the theater, but, you know.
Yeah, no, I quite enjoy this movie. I don't almost want to say too much because at some point we've got to do the Terminator series on this podcast. But no, it's a very enjoyable movie that I completely understand why it underperformed, because there have just been too many disappointing Terminators at that point. And especially
like when was Genesis?
Genesis was 4 years. Genesis was 4 years before this, and same studio. And honestly, at a glance, you would think, oh, is this the sequel to Genesis? Because the big difference, of course, is that Linda Hamilton came back for this one. But they, the posters are otherwise pretty similar. Arnold is on it, but he's older. They're not trying to hide that he's an older, they write into the script that he's a Terminator that can age. And yeah, it felt probably to a lot of people like, oh, another one after Genesis, which was not good and badly received. So I totally get why this was just going to the well too many times, even though it was a good movie. But like you said, Terminator is like Halloween now has this crazy multiverse with more than one good route. But
exactly. That's what I'm saying is like you can pick your poison here, which is to say Rise of the Machines, good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Connor Chronicles, great TV show.
Yeah.
This is also a good movie. Like you can go any direction you want. It's just, and honestly, for the most part, it depends on who you want dying and who you want going forward with the story.
But again, it's like, if they're adopting any other Terminator since T2, and this was the first big legacy sequel, I think this would have been a big deal.
The thing about the Terminator
after
movies
Genesis
is like the big deal was supposed to be Linda Hamilton's back, and also James Cameron is back, and they're back together.
Yeah.
By this point, what would have informed the broad movie going public that James Cameron wasn't involved in the other previous two? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, to the point, I will say because
that he was involved with Salvation. And
they
Genesis.
got him to endorse Genesis. He filmed even though he had nothing to do with the production of it.
That movie's so bad.
It's very bad. But for whatever reason, if he was friends with someone, I don't know, he did do a sit down I'm James Cameron and I endorse Genesis, which was terrible. But yeah, so people at a glance aren't going to know all this stuff. They're just going to know that there's been a lot of Terminator and they haven't liked a lot of recent Terminator. And I totally get it. It was interesting also because, like you said, it's like at this point, Cameron was only directing Avatar movies. He and Miller had a lot of clashing making this movie. They've talked about it. And they've tried to be kind of pretty diplomatic about not I hate you forever, but we had different ideas. But yeah, it's a fun movie. It's a good movie. And
it follows the Terminator formula that works, right?
It does. But it does. I mean, look, inevitably there will be more Terminator. It's just one of those titles they'll never let die. But it might be a time to really start over. I saw James Cameron say recently he thought that maybe one of the reasons it didn't do well is because it had both Linda Hamilton and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Maybe it was too beholden to the past. And again, I think he's right, only with the caveat that they had just brought Arnold back, in Genesis. That had been a big deal.
He was still kind of a part of Salvation in a way. So he never left. He never left. Except for the TV show,
and so conceptually, I understand that they did try with Salvation to move away, and although it still followed John Connor, but I think conceptually, the next time they do Terminator, there might have to be a real sort of ground up rejiggering.
I say they try doing a TV show again.
Huh? I mean, they remember when Genesis was happening, they were developing a TV show concurrently. And it was Zach Stentz was involved in that, who had written for Sarah Connor Chronicles. It was one of those times like with The Dark Tower where there was these grand ideas for movies and TV shows, and they're all gonna like intertwine, but it didn't really take off. But yeah.
And anyway, Mackenzie Davis is also awesome. It just reminds me to also recommend to you Station 11, one of my favorite TV. I guess it was a mini series, you should say, a limited event series, special event series from the past couple years. I love that, and also Blade Runner 2049 and a host of other things. But yeah, she's really good as the super soldier here.
No, it's
and San Junipero, obviously the awesome Black Mirror episode that everyone should watch. Even if you don't watch Black Mirror, you should check out that episode of that show, which you can because it's an anthology series. You can just hop right in and out. All right, Eric, I've already set you up for your good thing to enjoy.
But first, I'm going to talk for a few minutes about something I didn't like at all. No, I'm not.
No, go ahead.
No, I have nothing.
And I've already said that I heartily co-sign this as well.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. Matt and I, this is one of those shows, like when it was airing, we were co-fans of at the time, which is Spartacus, the Starz series. I want to say put Starz on the map, although Starz never really took off like an HBO, but it made them at least like, it put them in the mix, I think, Spartacus, and gave them their first real buzz, Party Down being a beloved, but like nobody watched.
Well,
show.
As we'll see in our main event today, it was home to a couple Raimi Tapert series over, at the same time. Yeah. So.
But this was, again, we talked about how like Sam Raimi and Robert Tappert after the Army of Darkness, would really get into TV, and Hercules and Xena, of course. But this was like, a big new show, that they were producing. They did not create. Stephen Nestonite was the creator of, and it's it's a little bit. It's funny. I was thinking even with the title because it's just Spartacus overall. But for every season had a subtitle. So when it began, it was Spartacus Blood and Sand. And we didn't know till season 2 that they weren't going to just call the whole series Blood and Sand. But only lasted for 4 seasons. And I think it was 10 episode seasons, except the second season, which was the prequel, was only 6. So you could talk about the tragedy that led to the prequel season, yes.
and the reason why it was only that many episodes. But yeah.
This was a great show that, I mean, it was funny at the time that everyone involved with the show, while promoting the show, they felt like they kind of had to lead with, they all knew that the first 4 episodes weren't that strong. And so it was this funny thing of like, we would talk to people from the show and they would be like, yeah, you kind of get through which has become almost like a more and more of like a jokey thing, because in this day and age, who has the time? If you're telling me there's any like, learning curve on a show, even though it's very natural for a show. I
mean, we did have more time back then.
We did have more time. This is a decade ago. So more time. But I would heartily recommend this show, even though it does take those handful of episodes to find its footing. Because when the show began, all the promotion and Matt's very well trafficked article at IGN was about boobs and blood, that this show was going to have a ton of sex, nudity, and violence, and gory, bloody violence.
By the way, promise upheld.
Promise completely upheld. It's just the early episodes made it seem like, and maybe it won't have any substance. It'll like, because certainly they were like leaning into that in those early episodes. And because the show hadn't found its footing yet, you're just kind of like, okay. But this is obviously the story of Spartacus, very famously told in the Kirk Douglas Stanley Kubrick movie in 1960. But this is the, now become another very well-known and beloved version of Spartacus, the slave who would rise up with his people. And, as Matt mentioned, it's like it has a very sort of tragic story in the background, because Andy Whitfield, who was kind of the unknown actor who was cast to play Spartacus and did an excellent job in the first season, got cancer after that first season and sadly would pass away. And, they were at the time when they didn't know what would happen, they were trying to delay season 2. So they did a prequel season, which ended up being an excellent season of TV itself. And is one of those
characters from that prequel season would go on to the rest of the series and add a lot of substance to it. So yeah,
that's why I wanted to mention that you absolutely shouldn't do should I wait to watch the prequel after or even first? It should be watched in the order it debuted in, because the prequel season definitely uses your knowledge of what came in the first season, but it will also introduce elements that will then return in season 3 and I don't know if you call them 3 and 4. I'll call them 3 and 4. The next 2 seasons, it all kind of works together as
so
a
it's Blood and
conversation.
Sand, Gods of the Arena is prequel, and then
Yeah.
technically the follow-up to Blood and Sand is Vengeance, and then the final is War of the Damned.
Yep.
And it took a while because Andy Whitfield started undergoing chemotherapy and treatment for his, I believe he had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And because of that, they filmed the Gods of the Arena, but then he was supposedly on the mend, and he had recovered, and he was in remission, and he did interviews at Comic-Con because he was going to start filming Vengeance, and then he died. And so they recast, and that's the thing, is like it was made, I don't even know if you could say it was made even more tragic, but it's kind of that thing I talk about in entertainment news where they take things away and they give them back and take them away and give them back. Well, it's like, so he was out and he was shelved and everyone was worried for him, but then he was back and we all sort of exhaled and we're like, oh, thank God, and then, the worst happened after that.
Yeah, which is super sad. I don't want to dwell on that except to say,
I know. Except that to say, I always say this: he is magnetic and luminous in the first season, and Liam McIntyre replaced him, and the show never faltered.
No,
even with all of this, the show remained excellent, and like coming up with a prequel series that they never intended to, like that still is absolutely superb, is crazy that they were able to pull off the creative feats that they could, given sort of the cloud of this that sort of hovered over the production, and with the people who knew him too, and having to work in sort of the vacuum of Andy Whitfield because of that. So,
and that's right. The other thing I wanted to mention, I do feel, again, you can't prove this, but that his illness and then eventually him passing away, made everyone want to really deliver, right? Like, obviously it's this huge sort of tragedy behind the show, but you kind of felt like after that, they were really determined to kind of do right by his memory, and, really go all the way. Like, again, the first season's great because it takes a few episodes, but then it figures it out and it's great. But then after that, everything they were doing in the kind of the shadow of what happened to him is excellent and really just it's great TV. It is definitely, not that I think anyone listening to this podcast is a bunch of prudes, but it is like copious nudity, full frontal nudity left and right.
I mean, look, here's the thing. A huge draw for that show before it started was that Lucy Lawless was going to be naked and having sex. Like that was a big deal. And I think a lot of the headlines were Xena and orgies or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
It's also this one of the things that takes a while to click, and you mentioned the first few episodes, is the style of speaking that they have, along with their absolutely cartoonish use of profanity that is very jarring and kind of off-putting at first, and you don't know what to make of it until it becomes your favorite thing ever by like the 4th or 5th episode. And you've got me at like Comic-Con asking John Hannah to scream out Jupiter's cock, in front of everyone, because it is a very, very hyper specific way that they speak. It's also a hyper specific look to this series because it was in the era it is of from the ashes of the mega successful 300 that we get the style of this show with the green screen and this type of sort of like slow motion fighting and stuff like that.
So, comic book influence. Yeah, for sure. This show owes 300 a debt for existing, getting the green light. But Raimi and Tappert produced it. Tappert's wife, Lucy Lawless, who, they met making Xena, is one of the leads at the beginning. And, I thought of it, of course, because we're doing Ash vs. Evil Dead, which would be their next project together. It's great stuff. I'm not, Matt, I'm not going to name every actor in it.
No, but do mention the fact that an absurd amount of them wound up in the Arrowverse.
a shitload ended up in the Arrowverse. One of them ended up in a Terminator movie we were just mentioning that wasn't good, Jai Courtney, although he'd kind of have his motion picture redemption as Captain Boomerang.
Well, two of them would play Captain Boomerang, right? Because didn't Nick Taraby play?
I think you're right.
Boomerang
Yeah,
too in the Arrowverse.
Yeah. Katrina Law got her start on this show. Lots of familiar faces. It is a show that is like brutal with characters. Like they kill like major characters or left and right will die. The big new characters will come in, but everyone's great. Everyone's going for it. I think if you signed on to the show, you knew you had to go for it in every single sense of the word, or words. And they're all great. And John Hannah and Lucy Lawless play like the slave owners, the bad guys, but then they get to be the leads in the prequel. And they are sort of like chewing up the scenery in all the right ways. It's a really great watch. Visceral goes for it. And they recently announced like a month ago that they're doing a new sequel series that The Night is back for that they're developing. It's all kind of secretive right now what it's about.
Very exciting.
But yeah, Spartacus, they're the 4 seasons, 36 episodes. You can watch on Star. You can buy it. I don't know if you can rent it, but you can definitely buy it digitally. You could watch it if you get Stars, which again has some other stuff you can watch right now, like Party Down. Oddly, it's one of those maybe like they're just trying to entice you because the first season is on the Roku channel, but only the first season. If you want all 4, you got to get Stars for that or purchase.
And if you don't know who John Hannah is, haven't seen the Mummy movies, he was in the first scene of the first episode of The Last of Us, which aired recently, as a scientist in the 60s talking about fungal infections. But he is absolutely spectacular in this as Body Hiatus. And basically, I was just so happy the prequel series happened because we could get more John Hannah. Like that was one of the things. It's like he came with it. So
I don't want to imagine a world where people don't know who John Hannah is. So man,
I feel like people would know him. I just feel like he's someone people may not know him by name.
They might not. That's true.
If I'm saying John Hannah, they may. If I show him a picture, they're like, "Oh, that guy." You know what I mean? So
sure.
I show pictures of John Hannah to people every day, and they're like, "I don't know who this is."
You do walk up to people on the street.
I take it to the streets when I'm demanding my Sam Rockwell returns.
Anyway, Spartacus, check it out. It's cool. It's great. It's hip. It's now.
So another thing about the Night Agent, Eric, is that it's all at night. No, I wish.
He's
okay.
A night agent, an agent.
In a weird way, I guess I am recommending that if you need something on that you don't want to like fully, if you want to watch something and be on your phone, the Night Agent.
Netflix. That's what they're there for.
That's true. Okay. So
the algorithm wants you to watch the Night Agent.
They don't even want you looking at the screen. They just want it on.
Yeah,
they just want it on and playing.
You are part of the billions and billions of hours they will talk about, Matt. So there you go.
I'm the reason they got a season 2. Next week, we kick off a whole new run here with something that we've mentioned a few times over the years on this podcast, since we've actually been doing this for years now, which is the era of prestige horror in the early 90s, which was obviously Silence of the Lambs winning Best Picture and actually, sweeping a lot of that Oscars, being a big part of it. The first horror movie ever to do that, to win Best Picture, not be nominated because The Exorcist was as well, but win Best Picture. And then all of a sudden you had top line directors and stars joining the ranks of horror for the first time, when it was such a dirty word for so long, for so many decades. All of a sudden, big time celebrities and fat cat directors were getting their grubby little hands all over the horror genre, and with actually some excellent results for the most part. Not always, but for the most part. Yeah. And we're going to kick off with Misery next week, a Stephen King adaptation directed by Rob Reiner. Won an Oscar in its own right, and you can watch that on HBO Max.
I'm very excited for that. I haven't seen Misery in a long time, so I'm actually excited to watch all these movies, even the ones I know aren't good. There's a couple. I shouldn't say that because
there is a couple I've seen on the list that aren't great.
But I'm just excited to revisit a bunch of kind of interesting. Almost every one of these movies is like interesting directors and filmmakers and actors. This should be a fun run.
Misery with Kathy Bates and James Caan. Man, did this movie really launched Bates' career through the 90s?
Oh,
Because this movie
no,
was in
no one knew
1990.
she was a stage actress, and this
Yeah.
was
And then she was in every movie
yeah,
for like the next 7 years.
including
So,
like
yeah.
another Stephen King movie. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Claiborne. All
Mhm.
right.
Claiborne.
So let's get into Ash. Yeah, just Claiborne. Special Agent Dolores Claiborne. Ash versus Evil Dead. Okay. This was a time when so many things that Eric and I loved as kids were coming back to us in ways we never imagined. And I think this and like Twin Peaks were coming back, where the announcements for these projects were very close together.
I was thinking about this yesterday.
Very close together. And I was like,
the three for me that I thought about watching this were the fact that we were getting a new Evil Dead starring Bruce Campbell as Ash. Twin Peaks was actually getting a revival, and that Wet Hot American Summer was getting its series.
Right.
Those were like three. None of these should actually exist. Like this is ridiculous. I'm so happy. But honestly,
the Wet Hot American Summer was the biggest surprise.
Totally, yeah.
You could mention Evil Dead and Twin Peaks to someone and they'd know who it was, not like John Hannah. But you could say Wet Hot American Summer, and only a very small circle of people would know what that was because And so, it was just the time when we were the return of things we never thought we'd get more of. And, it wasn't the only things. Like, the X-Files had come back. Not everything that came back was great. Like, just like every astronaut. That
I mean, Arrested Development was a notable disappointment as far as like, it's back. And then it's like,
an indicator. Who would have thought that like the best seasons of that would have been the network seasons?
Sure.
We were just already presuming that anything that was like non-network would obviously be better. The shackles are off, Eric.
Right.
Turns out the shackles were needed.
Sometimes shackles are good.
Yes. Okay. Let's talk about the title, Ash versus Evil Dead. And it was very sort of indicative of Bruce Campbell versus the Army of Darkness. Why do you think it was not Ash versus the Evil Dead, Eric? Why do you have an opinion
I think
on
just
that?
at that point, even though the first movie
do you think it was for SEO purposes?
Yes. No, I just the first movie is called The Evil Dead, but because the sequel was called Evil Dead 2, most people would even refer to the first one as Evil Dead. So I think it was just hey, that's what people think of. Obviously, putting Ash's name in the title was a major thing because they wanted you to know. It's like putting Halloween 4: The Return of Michael Myers. Like, we just want you to know.
We just had in 2013 the reboot with no Ash except for the...
And which I mentioned, there was a contingent of people who were just going to automatically not really give a fair shot to because it wasn't what they 100% wanted from Evil Dead at that point. So this was like, hey, it's Ash. Ash is in this, and
guess what? He's going to be fighting. Who's he going to be fighting? Evil Dead.
Yes. Yeah. But there you go.
And so we should mention at the top two, as we go through, we have two episodes here. One is called El Jefe. It's actually directed and co-written by Sam Raimi. His first time helming an Evil Dead thing since Army of Darkness. And then second one called Bait, which is not directed by Sam Raimi or written by him, but it's part of the writing staff. That because of contractual rights nonsense, they were not allowed to reference at all in any form Army of Darkness or anything that happened in it.
Yeah.
In the first season of the show lasted 3 seasons.
Yeah.
This was cleared up by the time season 2 rolled around. But this is why there was no S-Mart in Ash versus Evil Dead, and he works at, Value Stop or something?
Yes. And doing press at that, because I did a lot of interviews for this show when it debuted. I interviewed like all the main cast and the producers, and I remember their their explanation was like, we just assume S-Mart was purchased at some point by Value Mart. In a perfect world, in a perfect world, he would have been working at S-Mart. And obviously, when they do flashbacks, it's footage from the first 2 movies, but not of Army of Darkness. And he doesn't mention, and I went back in time.
Yeah, he doesn't mean he mentions that he traveled back to 1300 and was the prophesied hero who fell from the sky.
He leaves that out. Doesn't mean it didn't happen. It's Ash. He could have just neglected to include it. But yes, it was a thing. Even though because I actually, Matt Fowler, reread your review of the pilot of this last night at IGN.
Oh God, I probably said some stupid ass thing.
It's just very racist. No, it is not. But you mentioned something that is very interesting and funny about this show, which is they couldn't directly acknowledge Army of Darkness, but this Ash is the Army of Darkness.
Okay,
Ash.
no. So I did put that on my notes. Is that the biggest thing the biggest takeaway from Army of Darkness is that the Ash that we met in that movie remains.
Yes,
and even in the franchise's tradition of dialing everything up in subsequent follow-up stories, he's even worse and more obnoxious and more everything than he was even in Army of Darkness.
Yes,
because he was a total absurd jerk in that movie, and then he's even more so now 30 years on. And we should mention that this is a hard R show, not just for gore, but like there's bathroom fucking. Like
right.
Is this the first and only sex scene Sam Raimi has ever directed? I can't remember.
Probably right. Also, I know we mentioned this weeks ago, but it's also funny that this was just this interesting, strange period where Sam Raimi, though actively producing a lot, did not direct a movie in between Oz the Great and Powerful in 2013 and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness last year. This is the only thing he directed in between those two films, was the pilot.
Was this like 40-minute episode of TV?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, okay, yeah. So let's get into it. This Ash is listening to Deep Purple. We open with Space Truckin', a very classic Deep Purple track. And man, Ash just getting ready for a night out in town. They do a montage trickery with like, oh, is he putting on weapons? No, he's putting on a girdle.
Yes.
Bruce Campbell's hilarious. Him jamming out to this song, drinking a high C juice box, is irreplaceable. It belongs in a museum. Yes. It is so childish, like because there's sort of the Lothario element of like, hey, I'm like, I look good. Look at my ass. He gives himself a wink, but then that just saying he's like a 12-year-old doing that, like right. with his juice boxes. Especially since we know he does harder drugs and drinks harder substances than that. Right. Within the next 10 minutes, we find that out. And so not only is this a Army of Darkness portrayal of Ash that we're getting, this is also the first time we're actually really going to kind of spend a lot of time with Ash with other people and get a full characterization of Ash because it's a TV show.
Yeah.
Right? Like this isn't, we're going to learn about Ash, and Ash is going to learn about himself, whether he likes it or not.
Yes.
Because
we're going to get to know the inner Ash here.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to get to know his actual story, where he lives and the people he grew up with, eventually on the show, his father and all this stuff. So this is the deep dive of Ash that maybe you never actually did want, but you're going to get anyway.
And then it's funny with Space Truckin', which is the first of many classic rock songs they're going to use in the show. Again, it's like, again, we don't even know, like, until this show, it's like, oh, I guess Ash likes classic rock. Now it totally fits. He would have grown up in the 70s. It makes sense. It's just never came up before. It also is funny because it's reminiscent of Supernatural, of course, driving around in an old car, blasting classic rock, except this character.
Well, and that's the other thing is that they had to give him characters. They had to create a team on the show, and that's a big part of the second episode as they go forward, because it's not just it can't just be a movie where Ash enters a place and leaves on his own, or is in a cabin just by himself, not really talking to other people.
What if it was? What if it was like Poker Face? And just
look, that would work too.
Yeah,
they didn't go for that though. They actually decided to give him mentees here and like successors, perhaps, as far as like he even mentions to Kelly in the second episode that she was a lot like him, and sort of as the show goes on, if you guys stick with it and haven't watched it, they set up like her as a heir apparent to Ash. Pablo has his own journey and everything, but which is also set up here, like literally talks about how his uncle's a shaman.
Yep.
In the first episode. So
and as you, and also you mentioned in passing, that this was on Stars. So this was, Stars post Spartacus, ordering more series, but specifically staying in business with Rob Tappert and Sam Raimi.
And Lucy Lawless, who is a
Yes.
bigger part of the show than you would think coming out
By
of
the first two episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, she appears briefly in the first episode, but then not in the second episode.
Very briefly. She has like one line. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess we won't give away who she plays on the show, but yeah. So if for those who haven't watched it and want to see it, but yeah, she is a much bigger part of this show, and it is fun because this was an era because of very specific Rob Tapert productions that she was acting quite a bit. She's on a show now that films down under. It's like a mystery show in a small town. I can't remember what it's called.
This, since Lucy, Xena and Hercules, all their shows have filmed in New Zealand, including this one. That's just
I forgot to talk about my Lucy story as it pertains to Spartacus. That's fine. I worked in coffee retail, everyone, like for years. I was a manager for Pete's Coffee, and Lucy Lawless was a regular, and we were just friendly in that way. And then when I made the transition to entertainment journalist is when Spartacus was very, very soon, not long before Spartacus started up. And so for me to go to like the set of Spartacus or go to an event, I think this was a TCA event for Spartacus.
Yeah.
And for her to see me and be like, hey, you were the person who was making my coffee.
Coffee.
She's like, go get me a coffee. You know how I like it, bitch. No, but she was so kind and grateful.
She's
and wanted me to meet Andy Whitfield because no one was talking to Andy.
Mm-hmm.
The show hadn't aired yet. It was TCAs because that was the thing. Panel, and no one was talking to Andy because of the people who were appearing on the panel. He was the one who no one knew.
Yeah.
And
we talked about this funny thing at TCA because I know I told my story about the first Damages panel, and no one was talking to Rose Byrne, and I talked to her for a while because it was like Glenn Close, and like even though she was the lead, co-lead of the show, it's just like not yet. Like we don't know.
So yeah, Lucy was ever so kind and was like, Mateo, come meet Andy, and so I talked to him for a while, and then I would see her on and off again for Spartacus junkets and so on over the years, Comic-Cons and stuff like that, and so it was always delightful. Anyway.
And then I'm going to tell my quick story. I have other Lucy Lawless stories, but maybe another day. But my first Lucy Lawless story is that when I worked at the Virgin Megastore, this is at Warehouse, my second music video retail job. I worked at Warehouse, and I was wearing an Army of Darkness T-shirt, as I will do, and and a couple had walked in, and it was a very attractive brunette woman, and she said, "Oh, a nice shirt." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." And I can't remember what she said about like if I asked her if she was a fan or vice versa. And then it was like, it took me a second to realize I'm talking to Lucy Lawless. And then she nods over and goes, "Well, he produced it." And because at this point, as much as I love Sam Raimi, like Rob Tappert was not in my head as much.
Like what he looks like.
Right? Yes. Exactly. And I certainly didn't know what he looked like at that point. So yeah, that was my quick encounter with them. And her pointing.
I remember Lucy Lawless asking me if I enjoyed Spider-Man 3, and I lied to her and said yes. and then I forget what we were talking literally about the dancing and the stuff, and she's like, "Oh, I loved it. Pure Sam," she said. So anyway, it was Pure Sam.
It was Pure Sam.
Pure Sam Raimi. Okay, back to Ash vs. Evil Dead. And Lucy Lawless, who's not really in these first two episodes at all, even though she's a main character. Okay. So he's going out for a night out, and he goes to he has a lizard named Eli. He grabs 2 Magnum condoms, and he goes to the Woodsman 10 minutes before it closes so that he can problematically seduce someone who's probably had way too much to drink.
Right.
In a bathroom, lying about how he lost his hand, even though he does say it was 30 years ago today. He's right about that part, but he said he saved an 8-year-old from an oncoming train.
Does the very funny in a lot of ways, "he saved me" line.
Quick cut to them, just him railing her in the bathroom, but then she turns around and he gets a flash of a deadite, and it's all in his head, but he doesn't know what's going on. He's so ridiculous in this. this first episode. Absolutely so ridiculous. And then comes one of the best things I've seen in the past decade, which is him wondering why, if he accidentally unleashed something and having to pull from his, weed-soaked memory a night in his trailer with some woman where he decided he's just gonna read the fucking
Necronomicon. He's gonna read, and it's so funny when he's like laughing maniacally as she reads the words, and also he's like it's inked in blood, saying like again, obviously playing off our familiarity with the lore of him. I saying that. I also, by the way, just backing up for 1 second to say, it also made me laugh a lot, which is after she deadites out the woman in the bathroom, although he still goes back and has more sex with her. Then he is driving home and he's still singing Space Truckin', but he's doing it all scared. Like he's not all confident.
He's like, come on. Yeah.
Yes.
But like when he remembers what happens and he goes, I just remember how well that played at the Comic-Con screening.
I bet. I did not get to be at that Comic-Con screening, and I can only imagine that went over huge.
Anyway, really good stuff.
Yes.
And it just goes to Ash versus Evil Dead, and then we get Raimi Cam, and we meet a different character for a little while, which is Amanda, as you would say, and Can't Hardly Wait.
Here's the thing about Amanda, Matt. I forgot Amanda existed, which kind of speaks to how exciting this character is.
Yeah. Okay. This was nothing against
element.
Jo Marie Jones.
No. It just doesn't. It's funny, as Matt mentioned. Ruby, Lucy Lawless, will be a big part of the show. Wouldn't know that from the first 2 episodes, and Amanda doesn't really take off as a character, even though they're clearly trying to make her a big part of this. And it's just, it is what it is.
So there's a lot of dead-eyed action in this first episode. The first, though, comes to us from Amanda's character, who's investigating stuff in a house where their partner, she's a Michigan State trooper. And yeah, we get a lot of the bloody stuff, though. For the first time, there is practical blood here, but also CGI blood, which is something we're not quite used to. Yeah, not quite used to with the Evil Dead series.
Because this is 2 years after the 2013 movie, which at that point, again, we're now so far into digital effects that the 2013 movie made sure to make a big talking point. All our gore and blood effects are practical, that there's minimal digital stuff here. Of course, there's always some digital stuff, but that most of that, all that carnage you saw in that movie, the vast majority of it was being done on set. And again, this movie, like you just said, it's like there's a ton of practical effects in it, and
people are getting splattered in the face, especially in the second episode when he's cutting the guy's neck with the bottle and stuff, and it's going all over. Yeah, there is that, but then there's the moments like the headshots in this scene that are CG and just kind of they're just not Evil Dead. We're going for brand recognition here.
Yeah,
and it is jarring because the actual controllers of this property for so long have hung their hat on certain bloody elements, and this sort of broke from tradition in a big way.
Yeah. It's also funny. I was rewatching it last night. It's also a funny, it's an odd, inevitable transition of just the fact that it's a glossy modern TV show, just because those first 3 movies, are low budget movies that look it.
Right, and Ash's shirt looks so blue and
right. And so this is just visually, and because the 2013 movie made sure to be very grimy, but this is it's very crisp, and you just kind of have to get used to the visual difference. Even there will be copious amounts of blood. I mean, that was also something they talked a lot about how much fake blood they had on set of this show, and you definitely believe that.
So if you look at this scene from somebody who's never seen an Evil Dead movie, it does establish what these Deadites are before Ash fights them, what they can do if you're one of the uninitiated, which is to say her partner gets possessed, but then can transform back and seem normal and crying and then attack again.
Pulls a Linda. Yeah,
exactly. So But yeah, she gets stabbed in the hand. She also, there's like a lot of headshots and goopy shots to the Deadites' head, including her partner's head, where she shoots off, and some of it looks good, some of it does not. And we're just kind of left with her, I guess. When do we see her? Not till the next episode.
I felt
When's
like
the diner scene? I think
that's in this one, because Lucy
Okay.
Lawless is only in this one of the first.
But
two.
is that the next day for her? Probably, right? Because it's the next day for Ash. I think it's all lining up. It's supposed to line up at the same time. And so that's Amanda. Amanda Fisher is her character's name. We're not doing the whole series, so we don't have to talk about her more. But that was like our first intro to Deadite action here before we get back to Ash, as he just decides he needs to skip town. He's like, I fucked up. He, not without trying to help, though, he does contact the guy at this bookstore, Books from Beyond. He wants to undo what he did, but he's also not sticking around. And so he goes to work just to get his paycheck, but is roped into basically doing a whole shift because he won't get his check until at the end of the day.
And two things that made me laugh here a lot were, one, just...
I hope one was the light bulbs.
Well, that's two. One was just the fact that his name tag makes sure to say, and both as information for the audience, but also just because it's funny, like stock boy, like it says, like, just so we know he has like a lowly position in this job, that he's like a middle-aged guy who's, has not risen the ranks at all. But yes, my God, the physical comedy of dumping that box of light bulbs, walking on them, and sweeping them under the pallets,
while also like going like to the bulbs. I don't know who he's shushing, but it's amazing. Mm-hmm. Is the boss name Mr. Roper after Three's Company? I don't know, but let's say that's my headcanon. Yeah. So yeah, he's just looking to skip town, and this is where we meet Ray Santiago's Pablo, and then Dana DiLorenzo's Kelly, who will go on to be part of Team Ash. I can't remember what they call themselves. Ghostface is a supernatural. Do they call themselves something in this? Ghost Beaters. Is that it? That's their team in the series going ahead. But anyway, they're the Ghost Beaters. And they, as you mentioned, they also appear in the last year's Evil Dead game.
Which, by the way, I just read more about last night. I definitely got to get this game, Matt, because it's... I mean, the thing about the game was they got all the studios on board. So it's like Mia and David are both in it from 2013. Arthur and Henry from Army of Darkness. Yes. And Pablo, Kelly, Ruby, and Amanda are all in it. Cheryl, his sister's in it. It's like, it's the whole gang.
Holy shit. Okay.
And a lot of the actors reprise their voice, but not all. Like Jane Levy did not. But and it's not the actor who played Arthur. I know the actor who played Henry passed away, but Lucy Lawless, like most of the Ash versus Evil Dead people, except for the actress who played Amanda, voiced their roles. Bruce Campbell voices. Anyway, sounds like it's right up our alley. I might have to play it before Last of Us 2. Sorry.
You've got a little while before Last of Us 2 comes out as a show anyway. But so we meet Pablo, who is sort of like in awe. He's basically under Ash's spell. He thinks Ash is the coolest, even though Ash is, Ash represents to him what he thinks somebody who hasn't made, would exude, even though Ash is by all accounts a loser. Even though, I mean, look, is he a loser if he thinks he's doing great? I don't know. Like, objectively, like from an outsider looking at a lanyard that says Stock Boy, it seems like he's a sort of a go nowhere, but he's content in his life.
Yeah, he seems happy.
Yeah. Pablo wants to watch Monday Night Raw, and
relatable,
wants to hang, and he's sort of his flunky at work. He covers for him, but then he mentions that he got his upstairs neighbor a job there, and this is Kelly, played where Ash is sort of like, there's sort of like a weird sexual thing teased between them in the first one where he hits on her and she fights back, but then she's sort of smitten by him very briefly when she sees him kill Deadites at the end of the episode.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever. I don't think it was ever supposed to.
Yeah,
I don't think it was ever supposed to be though that this is setting up the actual.
No. I just wanted to let people know if they're watching this for the first time. That's dead in the water.
Yeah. I think it's just a funny moment at the end that because he becomes like full superhero Ash.
So that's the thing.
For a second, seem what like we're getting here
when we talk about Army of Darkness, it's the mix of the complete buffoon with the actual prepared survivalist ass kicker, like the mix of capable and incapable together in one package, yes. Which is Ash, as far as like an idiot that he's portrays himself in the first half of this show is not the same guy who would have that pop-up shotgun in his floor, but they still managed to coexist together.
It's about the duality of man, you know?
It is. It's all about the duality of man. And CGI little evil dolls biting him in the face and knocking his fake tooth out. More CGI stuff.
Obviously, although obviously the scene with the doll attacking him gets to be the most similar to him finding his hand in Evil Dead 2, complete with him taking all those pots,
those terracotta pots, and like smashing them into
his face. As much as I wish that it wasn't such a digital doll in the close-ups, that sometimes it's just a funny little thing on his face. Seeing Bruce Campbell beat himself up obviously gives Sam Raimi great pleasure, and it gives me great pleasure.
Sam Raimi was hard for like the first time in 30 years.
I missed this. I definitely enjoy the way when he tells Pablo his story, which is obviously also there to tell people who haven't seen these movies the story, how it's literally projected onto the walls and onto the things around them, clips. It is funny. Again, we've talked about the loose mix and match continuity of this series, and this one really goes all in on it because he very specifically says me and my friends. So it wasn't just him and Linda, and they show footage from the first movie, but
obviously he had to chop off his hand.
Yeah, he had to chop off his hand, and they show footage from the second movie as well. And they used Linda number 2, except for when she's possessed. I noticed special thank all those actors. So it's a big mix and match of the first two movies.
Linda Shemps. They also some of the lines he says to Pablo are taken directly from like the voiceover from Evil Dead 2, or actually Army of Darkness, when he's like, my hand went bad, so I had to lop it off.
Yes.
Like, so they Army of Darkness exists here and there, just not directly.
Mm-hmm.
So then basically after the doll attack in the back, and Pablo kills the doll with I think a shovel or something.
Yep, a shovel.
He tells him, he recounts about like what happened to him, all the things, and he thinks that he's awakened a big evil. They see a sinkhole on TV, and this is where they kind of have to do this quickly because they want Pablo with him. Pablo mentions his uncle as a shaman, and he talks about he like those in 1300 AD
mm-hmm.
immediately mark Ash as like a chosen one figure, like the one who can vanquish the evil, but is called by Pablo and his family El Jefe. Yes. And he's like, you are El Jefe, you are the foretold one who is going to save us all. And he kind of calls him that throughout at least the first season.
And I laughed quite a lot at Ash saying, you got the wrong Jefe, chief, since Jefe it means she. Again, it's the Bruce Campbell delivery that really sells all that.
I also laughed at, so while all this crazy stuff's going on, Ellie, who had already mentioned to Ash that her mother had died in a car accident 6 months previous, is talking to her dad on the phone while there's sinkholes opening up outside the Woodsman and crazy stuff happening. And mom has returned home and she's freaking out. And as Raimi Cam is headed toward Value Stop, they escape just in time. It crashes through a car and stuff. It gets their boss.
The boss gets kind of the final shot of Evil Dead, like flying into Ash's face happens.
Yeah. Pablo takes her to see Ash, El Jefe, his hero. And I laughed so hard. It's just basically, she's like, doesn't know where he's taking her. And she doesn't even know she's going to see Ash. And so like, they go into his trailer and she sees him and she goes, "Oh, this idiot."
I will mention that we get one more Amanda scene, but it's again, it just doesn't work for me. It's when she goes back to the house and she finds the little scrap of her partner's shirt and says, "It did happen." I was like, "Oh, all right." But yes, when Kelly and Pablo show up, and even like again, because like obviously they're taking the piss out of Ash left and right, the fact that he lost a tooth fighting the doll, but then it turns out he's wearing dentures. Like he just
he has fake teeth
swaps
anyway,
them out. Yeah.
And and then they get attacked by Deadites, his actual neighbors, Vivian, who we had actually met earlier, and another guy who I don't know his name, but like they attack his Deadites, and this is when we finally get Ash superhero moments, some big crowd pleasing beats here, from throwing the axe and chopping the hand to the pop-up shotgun, and keeping with Army of Darkness, shooting behind, basically aiming the shotgun behind him and like shooting without looking, like that's
and so claiming the like button-up blue shirt as like his superhero costume that he's wearing it underneath
his value stop. Yeah.
Right. He tears off the red shirt to reveal the blue shirt underneath. And then like even the when he pulls Kelly towards him and his little like sexy spin to tear her belt off because he needs it for his shotgun holster / chainsaw holder.
Yeah, it's just a big fun ending to this, which is, and Pablo and Kelly get in on the action here where they get attacked. Pablo gets stabbed. Kelly almost gets her eyes gouged out. They've got that shot of the nail.
But she fights back pretty hard against her before that happens. Yes.
And then it all culminates with the leap through the air chainsaw hand connection, which is made even funnier, not just by Ash flying through the air and Bruce Campbell on wires or whatever, which looks silly, but Pablo throwing the shotgun, like kicking it up with his foot somehow, like
because he's stabbed to the wall at that point.
He has to kick it with his foot, and it somehow gives it. He can do it. It's not too heavy that he could do that and send it hurling through the trailer.
Of course, and then yes, the fact that when he chainsaws off her head, Ash gets some blood splatter in his face, but most of it goes on Pablo, which is just a very funny thing of like, like now he's got sidekicks, so they can also kind of take some abuse here of just, and this goes even further in the second episode, but yeah, like Pablo just sitting behind as but
in the next episode, he and Kelly get covered in blood as he chainsaws her mom. Like they're just laying on the floor, like getting covered as he chainsaws her stomach and her head. Yeah,
it's like it almost plays even more like money shot, like porn, like but which has always been somewhat the case. But now there's more people to involve.
And then he says it. He says the thing, Eric. He says it at the end.
He does.
How are you feeling? He says groovy. Ends the episode. Perfect pilot. Mm-hmm. Obviously, so much of that tailor-made for Comic-Con, played really well.
I'm very sad. That's a great regret that I wasn't at that screening that night. I had some sort of conflict, I remember.
Your conflict was like, I hate screenings. I hate Evil Dead.
The two things I wish I would have been with Matt at Comic-Con. I mean, again, I was at these Comic-Cons. They just had conflicts. Were that screening and the Childish Gambino concert that you went to?
That was just a concert. You could have gone to that.
No, but I had something that night. I mean, I would have gone with you. It was something.
Oh,
else.
Okay. Yeah. That was just, it wasn't like at a Comic-Con panel or something.
No,
like
I know.
He was playing House of Blues San Diego. Yeah.
But he wasn't coincidentally in San Diego. It was all, part of the stuff going on.
All right. And I mean, you probably wanted to remember when I was at the Mattel panel and CM Punk came out, but he wasn't with WWE, Eric, and he yelled at Triple H, and everyone pulled out their phones. Okay, let's see. Second episode, Bait. Not as fun as the pilot. Obviously, Sam Raimi did direct it. I'm not saying Sam Raimi can only direct this show,
but it is notable to see. Even though obviously. At this point, Fede Alvarez has already directed an Evil Dead movie, but a movie that was trying to be something very tonally different. So this is the first time we're ever having anyone kind of definitely try to do Sam Raimi, as all directors will for this series, especially in the part when they're like fighting in the living room, like, and it's like the camera's behind, like on the chainsaw or the shotgun. It's on the shotgun, and it's just interesting to see like now people are definitely trying to use. This is, I mean, look, this is typical for a TV show, right? Like the director of the pilot establishes tone. It's just that Sam Raimi is a very distinct director. So now it's going to be like other directors kind of trying to do that, and some will do it better than others.
So MJ Bassett actually will direct the next two. So this is just the second one, Bait. And it's actually also written by Dominic Dierks, who will go on to write other episodes, part of the staff of this series. And it's notable. It's not the humor isn't as much there. It establishes a lot going forward as far as like it has to get Kelly on board. Pablo's already kind of on board because of how much he idolizes Ash, but this one was really meant to sort of bring Kelly into the fold because there had to be a reason for that. And the whole episode, it's about 10 minutes shorter than the pilot, involves her learning that her returned mother, who comes back with an amnesia story, played by Mimi Rogers, a very notable actress, actually.
Our second Mimi Rogers project, because we did Ginger Snaps on this podcast,
is plays her mom. And by the end, her mom is still dead, and her dad is dead. And then she basically kind of makes a vow to like fight Deadites and vanquish the evil alongside Ash because she's angry and has nothing left and all that stuff. So that was sort of the crux of this episode, along with giving Ash and Pablo a lot more time together as sort of a comedic duo. It doesn't all fully land a lot of the time, but there are some funny lines here and there, because Ash knows that her mom is a Deadite, but because they don't know that Deadites can switch back, which the audience does now thanks to the pilot, they just think that it's a sweet innocent mother with amnesia. As they all sit down to dinner together. And yeah, it's really just a one-track thing. It opens with a big action scene in a car with their boss, Mr. Roper, attacking. And this all happens splattering before the opening, like the opening title.
And very funny,
to very bloody stuff happening.
The way Ash kills Roper with the bottle over and over and over. And thankfully, none of this is digital, where he just keeps stabbing him in the throat. And it just keeps covering Pablo, who's cowering on the floor of the car, is really funny. And then when they cut the title on this one, I mentioned, previously that Joseph Valuca, scored the original trilogy, and he came back for this. I think he scored Spartacus too. But the guitar version of like the classic Evil Dead theme that plays at the beginning of this one when we go to the cut to title. Also, Ray Santiago is very good. Like he made me laugh a lot when he it's like a little thing, but when he's just talking about how he says something like, I really don't want to fight those things again. Just being the guy, he's not like a cowering character, but just he's a very like practical character.
And also he's dealing with a stab wound, we assume, in his arm too.
Yeah.
From the first episode, and probably he's like, I don't want that to happen again.
Sure.
So, but like the thing is like he's not a coward because he wants to learn under Ash. Is the thing. He'd rather not fight them again, but he also doesn't want to like all of a sudden leave Ash on this journey. He wants to go with him. So, yeah, he's never a coward. He is supposed to be there for comic relief, and a lot of that comic relief at the outset of this series has to do with him having a super crush on Kelly. And so a big part of this too is like wanting to impress Kelly and not wanting Ash to embarrass him in front of Kelly's newly resurrected mother,
right?
And father at this dinner, and wanting to be cool and nice,
but also hero worshiping Ash, because it's very funny when he's like, "It was so cool when you said heads up," just kind of in awe of this guy.
Yeah.
Also very funny when because you mentioned like Ash is even bigger dick in this show than we saw in Army of Darkness, and it was established in the first episode like he like runs his car into like his neighbor's property, and it's just like I can't remember what he says, but he just insults him, and like
he does. I'm trying to think what he's saying, but basically the guy was like
the guy goes, I didn't know his name, but he was always a real asshole to me and my wife at the trailer park. And he's like, yeah, I'm sure he was.
Oh yeah, and there was there. I can't remember what the exchange was in the first episode, but it's like he drives off and just Ash yells at him, "Fuck you," or something like that, like
Yeah, yeah.
like for no reason. So yeah, he's is just a dick to everyone around. But that's the thing, is like, so he's being a dick in this, and they're saying that, and to the point where like when he punches her mom and then her mom turns into a deadite, he says, "Oh good, I was starting to feel like a real dick."
Right.
Which played really well. And then we should also mention that because there are mixtape elements of the Evil Dead movies that came before this, there is a Hush Little Baby nursery rhyme sung by the mom. And it didn't even need to be established earlier. Like, hey, remember that song we sang as a kid? It's just, A, it's a motherly thing to do, and B, it's from Evil Dead. So, yeah.
Evil Dead 2, that song, I believe.
And yeah, so this was really just a one-track episode. It was visiting Kelly's house, seeing the mom trying to like fool Kelly and basically everyone, though not fooling Ash, and then being revealed as a deadite, and then the fight at the end, which is was very bloody again. Everything sprayed all over Kelly and Pablo. And speaking of things from the previous Evil Dead movies, Ash built, and it's called out here. We mentioned already how silly it was that he built wooden crosses for everyone, even in Naughty Darkness, when he buries his own evil self. He has a wooden cross that he painstakingly makes and somehow ties together with
it's the one, and it's like the one super respectful thing he does, right?
And he does it twice here for her mom and dad, only for Kelly to say that they were Jewish. And he actually says, "You could have told me that before I made these stupid crosses."
That is great. Has his when he says, "I'm no grief counselor, but if it's any consolation, I have had to kill and bury loved ones before." Because again, it's like, Kelly's going to be motivated by this, but we're not going to, this is not a show where we're going to like wallow in her grief. So yeah, Ash.
right, because she needs to sort of be galvanized going forward. And he says, and he even says, it's like, you're kind of like a young me. Deadites ruined your life, and you're hot as hell. Like he's setting her up.
You mentioned again that this Pablo and Kelly getting covered in the blood of Kelly's fake mom, but deadite mom. Also, the dad getting killed with a fork to the eye. And yeah, I did enjoy, like, again, that the sequence where when he starts like shooting it, deadite Mimi Rogers, who starts crawling on the wall, and the camera's kind of like right on the shotgun, and sort of seeing someone kind of like doing their best Raimi in that part. It's fun stuff.
It is fun stuff. Even when the episodes of the show weren't exactly grade A, it was always an entertaining show. I think it's worth the ride. I think it does some interest. Again, it really does dig into Ash's past quite a bit, and it eventually does answer a question we brought up a few weeks ago, which is, what did everyone think when Ash came home and everyone he went out to the woods with, including his girlfriend, were dead?
Right.
And he comes back with a crazy story.
Yeah, and like we said, like, kind of mixtaping everything, so elements come in, direct stuff. And we can mention, I think that the actress who played Cheryl in the first movie comes back as Cheryl in Dead ID ways or Evil Dead ways. And also there are some crazy gory moments, like they definitely, again, I remember talking to Danny Lorenzo about, like, it's just like the amount of like the literal, like, literal buckets of blood, or like, just barrels of blood that they would have on this movie and on this show. And they definitely go very, very far with it. I realize, Matt, I have not seen the last few episodes of the show, so I'm going to remedy that.
Oh, wow. Okay. So this show also, and because I teased the fact that this show ends with kind of a new take on the alternate ending of Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
And it's not the same thing, but it definitely does go in different directions. So I didn't realize you hadn't even seen the last few episodes. So that's interesting. I should bring up too, and this is just a fun fact. Eventually, Michelle Hurd joins the series, who you'll know from a lot of things, including if you're watching Picard, and shows like Blind Spot and stuff like that. Anyway, married to Garrett Dillahunt, is that plays Ash's high school girlfriend Linda. So again, he's only dated Lindas his entire life. We assume that this was the first Linda, perhaps.
Yeah. They make that a joke about if you're trying to decide if Evil Dead 1 and 2 are the same, but be like, oh, there's another Linda. I didn't know Garrett Dillahunt and Michelle Hurd were married. See, I'm learning fun facts left and right.
Oh, they're one of my favorite hot couples. I love them.
And then at the end of season 1, in the first thing I'd ever see her in, Samara Weaving is in several episodes. And
the first time we saw, I believe, Samara Weaving.
And it's very fun. And two very funny things about that, which is she gets covered in blood, which obviously you're not shocking on the show, but also would become a Samara Weaving go-to. It was funny that her and Jenna Ortega both being in Scream 6 when they've very quickly established that they will probably be covered in blood in the projects they work in. But Samara Weaving, especially because she's, just done a bunch of horror stuff in a few years and often ends movies bathed in blood. But do you remember, Matt, when it was some people we don't agree with when there was like a viral thing of like
Ike Perlmutter?
It was like, look what happened to this poor girl walking by like a BLM protest or something, or Antifa did this to her.
And it was literally from
Samara Weaving and
Ash versus Evil Dead.
Yeah.
And they were
and
like she
people,
was attacked
and
by
course,
Antifa or something.
And it went super viral because people are idiots and just
yes, I do remember stuff. This,
and then people being like, that's Samara Weaving and Ash versus Evil Dead. The internet where truth burns bright.
Only ever producing good things that heal our society.
Yes, and no lies found.
All right. Yeah, well, here's the thing. We were obviously going to spend more time talking about the Sam Raimi directed pilot episode, which is a smidge more entertaining than the second episode. Not that the second episode's bad, but yeah, it had a lot more goofy gags and crowd-pleasing moments to do, bringing Ash back into our lives and into the world of Evil Dead once more. And again, though, Bruce Campbell had worked in television for years. God, how long?
This is after Burn Notice. Yeah, Burn Notice was like six
or 7 seasons.
He got his own TV movie.
He got a Sam Max TV movie.
Yeah,
7 seasons of Burn Notice, 111 episodes of that.
Which a lot of people would only know him from that, right?
Yes, exactly. And huge shout out to the book-ending Burn Notice gag on Poker Face that I very much enjoyed.
I have to watch the Poker Face finale.
Oh, you didn't watch the Poker Face finale?
No.
Okay, good. I'm glad I didn't go into it more than that. Okay. Do you remember in the pilot when Benjamin Bratt's character mentions Detective Michael Weston, even though he wasn't a detective?
No, I did not catch that.
Okay, so you maybe should watch the Poker Face pilot again.
I don't know if I need to watch it again just for that mention, but
I don't know, Eric. What do you remember from that at all?
Burn Notice was 7 seasons plus a Sam Max movie.
Yes,
which is a heck of a run. And when USA.
We should mention the fact that like we didn't cover all. Once upon a time when Eric and I were at IGN and we were covering the TV beat, it wasn't the cultural content landscape that we have now of too much shit, which is to say, like, now you have to decide what not to cover.
Yeah,
because not only is there hundreds of shows, but so many of them are actually tailor-made for quote unquote geek culture, because that became pop culture in the last decade. Once upon a time, we had to hunt and search for not just geeky sci-fi fantasy genre things to cover TV wise, but hopefully good things. Like not everything was Battlestar. Right. So USA had their characters welcome, and we covered a few. I think we tried to cover something like there were weeklies of Psych, I think, because it was silly and funny and people liked it. We didn't do weeklies of Monk or anything like that, but Burn Notice, which was for all intents and purposes an action series, we covered because it had Bruce Campbell in it.
Yes, yeah, that was the big selling point to like our realm. Yeah,
Bruce Campbell was his first highest profile thing he had done in a long while,
for sure.
And it was it was a cable series, and he was a big part of that. And I think that's where I saw him do most of his acting before that, because everything else was Evil Dead or a B movie here and there. But yeah, as Sam Axe, I think, I don't know, I haven't seen interviews about it. I feel like he did 111 episodes of TV in his movie. That's the most he's ever done of anything. So yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm sure, a bunch of people, that was what they knew him for. And then as we wrap this up, and obviously we will talk about Evil Dead Rise, but as we wrap up this, for now, the sort of Bruce Campbell Ash of it all, it's funny where we left off now, because this show ran for 3 seasons. But the video game came out last year that obviously Bruce Campbell participated in, and a bunch of other actors. And I saw that like last summer, he talked about how there was possibly going to be like an animated series. Thing is, Bruce Campbell, if right now, anytime he's asked about, will you play Ash again, he's like, I'm too old. And, and he's like, yeah, I'll do voiceovers like the game, and if there's an animated thing, but I'm too old to do it now. And no, and I can't run around doing that. Of course, never say never. If Harrison Ford, I'm not going to mention Indiana Jones because that's something he's always fucking loved. But if Harrison Ford could return as Han Solo in his 70s, I don't think we should take Bruce Campbell at his word that he'll never play live action Ash again. We'll see. But in the meantime,
but what kind of Ash? So here, Han Solo isn't a human ping pong ball, though.
No. I do get it. I mean, there are limitations. But yeah. We'll see.
Han Solo in every movie gets sprayed in the face with massive amounts of fake blood.
So you've seen those cuts. So we'll see. But in the meantime, it's like Evil Dead, again, it's just funny that something that started so small is just like the amount of merch, the amount of like, Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness t-shirts. And like I said, they're all licensed separately because they're all owned separately. And there's constantly from all these different horror sites putting out new shirts that they're, new merch and action figures and NECA figures. So it's the gift that keeps on giving, obviously, for all involved, for Raimi, Campbell, and Tappert. And they're still doing all this stuff like the game and maybe an animated series. But we'll see what the future holds, because right now Evil Dead Rise is about to come out. And again, there hasn't been like an Evil Dead movie that's led to more movies since Army of Darkness, because 2013 didn't get a sequel. So we'll see what happens with Evil Dead Rise. But
but we're still of the opinion that it's Evil Dead Rise is in the same universe as the reboot. Maybe
I don't know. I mean, I think again, it's as much as the reboots in the same universe as the first 3. It's like, if you want it to be, it is. There's a book. Right. Someone reads it, bad shit happens.
I just think like, because it's more tonally look like the actual grittiness of it is in line with the previous movie.
Again, it's all what you decide, because again, the book didn't look like the book from the trilogy in 2013, but the book in Rise doesn't look like either of the other books. So yeah, but I think it's all connected, as connected as you want it to be. It's all fine. It's all good.
All right, please, Hammer, don't hurt him. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Until next time, everyone. Everything is possible, but nothing is real. And shock. I couldn't even hear you. Say it again.
Shock.